So I want to actually talk about stuff that happened in the episode too, but before then.
What? You want to talk about stuff that happened in the episode?
Is there, like, the acknowledgement of how, like, scripted this all is, right? And how perfect this all is. Is there any timey-wimey Founding Titan memory-linked shit that could have put Zeke telling on his parents into motion so that Grisha would get the attack Titan and be told about Mikasa and Armin, so that Eren would be born, so that all of these events would transpire? I'm having trouble thinking of something that would, like...
For that thought, I think I'd want to talk about Mr. Ksaver. Mr. Ksaver was the one who actually had the Beast Titan.
One of the coolest characters in this entire show. To be complete, one of my favorite characters.
Yes, definitely really.
He's an adventurer.
Him.
He just wants to know information.
I like the way that he thought about things, even though he was just kind of trying to survive.
Also,
or
had one of the
most his way to get rid of himself.
His life was like the most tragic thing in the world. Yeah. He married this girl, didn't let her know that he was an Eldian. She found out, slit her own throat, and their kids. Oh my god.
So when Mr. Ksaver says to Zeke to do this, he says a few things that are just kind of uncalled for in the way of he's kind of not being truthful, and it comes out to me like, okay, well that's a reach, and is your intention kind of selfish here? And I think it is, because later on we hear him kind of relate to Zeke that he thinks of him like a replacement for his son. Zeke thinks of Mr. Ksaver as a replacement of his father. And I'm like, so at first I was like, is this... He's really breaking down, too. He's very upset.
It's the visual. It's the visual of him grabbing his head.
Yes, the visual of him doing this and being like, they, ... never loved you. And I'm like, okay,
it's so like he's being controlled.
He's being selfish. Is it just him being selfish of, I think of this boy like a replacement of my son, I want to keep him alive? Is it truly just that selfishness when he already has decided this is his path to dying?
Yeah.
Like, is he really going to be that selfish when he's already decided that this is his kind of, like, in a way, suicide and atonement? Is choosing to be this Beast Titan that dies in 13 years?
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm like, he really grabs his head and he's saying this, and I don't know if I can fully believe it's for selfish reasons. That maybe he is seeing that he needs to, maybe he's having such a difficulty saying it because he knows he needs to say it for some reason, and he knows it's harsh and mean and that someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
But he, for some reason, knows he needs to do this.
Like obviously, I believe, how do you pronounce his name? Tom? I'm just gonna call him Tom. Yes, Tom's his first name. Ksaver, Tom.
I didn't even get what his first name was.
I'm just gonna call him Tom. Obviously Tom is a very caring individual. He probably has like a nice like retirement account built up. He
seems like the type.
He's a very well thought out person, and he just wants to live his best life, right?
For the short time
that he can, learn as much as he can. I believe that he would come up with this idea because I believe that he would want Zeke to survive. I do. That being said, he is a part of this whole people with the power of the Titan lineage and like
he currently
center
holds one
the
of
Orangutan. And we had Mr. Kruger say something very out of pocket that he never should have been able to say in regards to Armin and Mikasa. And when Tom grabs his head and starts really like saying what he is, the look in his eyes, it's like he's being driven crazy, and he wouldn't. It's like he's like, okay, say this, like a mind control kind of sense.
Is he fighting back? It's like
it could be both.
Is he so scared in a selfish reason of losing Zeke?
No,
but it's like I'm just saying all the reasons you could read into this expression. But I like the idea and in theory that maybe he's getting a message
from
from somewhere up in the sky of pathways.
Yeah, if you report them to Marley and prove your loyalty. I feel like I know that he phrases it like you and your grandparents might be spared, but they're like this. We know that the suggestion works, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you were trying to implant something and you already knew that this is like the route to go and how things would turn out.
He's saying really like mean things. Like, yes, I think Grisha was not a good dad to Zeke, but I think that a lot of people could probably relate to very, very busy parents or parents that want you to kind of follow a certain like way with your life. But I don't know that if that ever necessarily goes along with they never loved you.
Well, okay. The reason why they never loved you like got this idea in my head is, again, I love Tom with all of my heart. Like I think that him saying they ... never loved you could either be like a no dog never come home, like, you know, like kind of vibe, like he's saying it because he needs to do it so that Zeke will like save himself.
It's the final blow to say to a child who already feels like they've been neglected and is probably already wondering if they're good enough for their parents and if their parents love them. Those are probably already thoughts in Zeke's head, and it's kind of manipulative.
Well, no, how would Tom know that? Like, I know that him and Zeke always play ball. I know that he knows a lot of this, but how are you confident enough to say they never loved you?
Right, exactly. How are you confident enough? You don't live in that house. You don't see every single interaction that happens. It is impossible for you to truly take from what a kid is telling you, or anyone for that matter is telling you, because that's their bias. That's what they're seeing. It's their, subjectiveness?
Yeah.
And how can you take from that they never loved you?
So, like, it could totally be just, like, I need to say what I need to say so that this kid will save himself. Or I am saying this because I am being told, or like somebody's talking through me to get this to happen.
Yeah, he might have been being told this kid is the next Beast Titan. And if he already had that premonition, that he could have already had that premonition, and that's why he chooses to focus on Zeke so much. He could have had that premonition when he first called Zeke over to play ball. And maybe that's why he breaks down so much, is he realizes this is the person that has to be the Beast Titan.
Yeah.
They're gonna die. What can I say to them to save them?
That's a good point.
So it could have been something he doesn't necessarily have to have the memory there.
Yeah.
He could have already had an inkling.
It could be like a little nudge.
Yeah, like a little like, hey, I want to focus on that kid for some reason.
I mean, if like the whole like time loop thing, there could be the nudge thing. That's more realistic, and I like that a lot. I'm more on the crazy deep end of things, thinking this is like Aaron puppeting the entire thing.
For that whole, you know how Aaron brings up how is it really you and how you're feeling? If you already have other people's memories in you. Is it really that Mr. Casaver feels like Zeke's a replacement for his son, or is it because Mr. Casaver knew that this kid needed to be the next Beast Titan?
I don't know. It feels so interesting, though. But okay, going through the episode, things that I liked, Tom. Other things that I liked. I thought it was a really, really interesting to bring up the narrative that they already had an inkling of what was going on, a suspicion. They even knew the fact about the owl. And even though they knew that there was an owl, which inevitably led to the questioning on the wall to Grisha, which led to the revelation of who the owl was. Like, I really liked them inserting that here. It makes the tension and
the urgency of everything. We didn't even know prior to this that Zeke was already a warrior candidate. We didn't know that. And so yeah.
It was like, you're gonna become.
We thought he just randomly was at his grandparents' house and just decided to do this on a Tuesday.
Dude,
like, I'm just gonna turn in my parents today. No, there was an urgency to it. He literally knew that they were about to find out that his family was in the Restorationists.
How did this episode do for you in sympathizing for Zeke? Like, understanding or seeing on screen Zeke having to like go back and forth between these two families and have to like play a character basically of a kid who knows the right truth in terms of what Marley thinks, and then having to switch between that in between like your grandparents and your parents. Like that is devastating, and that's torturous in of itself, like as a kid.
Right.
You're just repeating the cycle in a different way.
He came out of that believing that the history his father told him was correct, but not believing the way his father was going about it was correct, or that his father was correct in how his father treated him.
Zeke just wanted to live, dude.
So you asked the question of, like, do I feel maybe more sympathetic to Zeke?
How did this episode do for you in terms of sympathy to him?
I feel like this was a validation episode more so than a get you to finally sympathize with him. Yeah. I feel like I already had inklings of these feelings when we first got the flashback of Zeke and kind of the idea through Grisha's memories.
Yeah.
I already felt bad for him. I already was like, this is a kid, and he's being told two different major things from people he trusts, his parents and his grandparents, and he's also being told by the world he lives in that his parents are doing something wrong and evil. Like, I could already totally get on board, even though it was like, he turning in your parents to die is like still super dramatic, but I could at least sympathize with how he got there and what happened and the childhood he had. And I think I even sympathized even more when we got a flashback to it in this episode of him saying to Eren, I'm going to rescue you.
Yes.
When he said that like also really hit home for me. Like, wow, this. And then what do? They really just, they opened it even more. They were like, let me show you this little corner of this picture where we're going to get Zeke say, Eren, I'm going to rescue you. And now let's actually open the book and you can see the full page.
We've never felt Zeke's emotions like this. You know?
You're
like,
right. So it felt like validation.
Validation. That's what I wrongly said sympathizing. But it is in a sense. Like, you're understanding his character more, what he's going through, and maybe it could affect what your desires for him are going forward. When I think of, and then we heard the line, if you're never born, you never have to suffer. And I want to reiterate that I don't know what life is like for these fictional characters in reality. I didn't experience it. That being said, I could make the argument of, okay, if you're never born, you never suffer, but suffering's part of living for everybody, and it's what you make of it. And I know that's a stupid, broad thing to say, because I don't know any other answer. I don't know a better answer, but I also don't want Zeke, in a weird way, I don't want Zeke to get hurt here, you know?
Right. I mean, you just brought up something really, really, I think, big, is to a kid, this suffering and then that Zeke went through, he's attaching it to something, as Eren attached his suffering to Titans. Zeke is attaching his suffering to Titans, and that is the enemy. But the thing is, they're like, if I do this and free the world, I free all Eldians from suffering. That is not the case. Like we've said, there's always going to be conflict, there's always going to be suffering in the world, and there's always going to be war. You're just taking away the magical element.
Do you think that there's a belief that the remaining Eldians, after this is enacted, after the euthanization plan is enacted, that their lives would be easier because they are doing some sort of penance to the rest of the world by saying that we'll never have kids again?
So, honestly, maybe Marley would just kill all of them. Because one of the reasons they're keeping them alive to have kids is to have warrior candidates to hold the Titan power so they can use it in war. Marley's not going to be happy when they lose their, best fighter jets, and they're they're not going to be happy when they lose their military power.
Even though that's the thing that they hate the most, right?
Yeah, but they are using it, and they're using it to kind of stand up to the rest of the world, like, haha, we are the best, and to gain things. And they're not going to be too happy when they lose that. And if the Eldians lose out on their ability to have kids and Titan powers aren't a thing anymore, and they're viewed as trash and devils, why would the Marleyans keep them alive at that point? They literally have no reason to.
Yeah. Look at the line I pull up on the screen.
Essentially, you're the key to the lock.
It feels like Tom being the person to deal the information that if this power comes in contact with royal blood, that's Zeke, and then phrase it like you're the key to the lock. I'm like, I can't tell if it's like, oh my god, that's such a great parallel, or it's a parallel for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh my god, like the fact that he's learning this information.
There are two keys.
Exactly.
Isn't Historia a key too? You have two people are keys to this one lock. Which key does Eren want?
The founding Titan needs to be somebody you trust. It's like setting up for the inevitable, narratively and potentially in like the conspiracy way, it is setting up the perfect solution for Zeke, right? It's like, it's setting up the holy grail of finding somebody that you trust and understands the plan. It's somebody who is not only similar to you, but is potentially been raised in the same torturous way that you were, that understands you like nobody else in the world could.
Okay,
It's brilliant.
He definitely understands Eren better than anyone else. I mean, obviously Armin and Mikasa would want to argue that. Interesting. We get an episode right before this where Armin and Mikasa are basically told by Eren, you don't actually know me, and I hated you the whole time. And then this episode we're being told that Zeke is the one that truly understands and trusts Eren, and that they truly know each other. It's like we've cast off the people we thought knew Eren, and Eren has cast off those people visually and literally to us. And then we get an episode that shows that the brothers, as Yelena put it, the two brothers, you know, that are going to change the world.
One of the first things I wrote down this episode was Zeke alone, because, like, you just feel the isolation that his character has felt in terms of growing up, and the only person that he seemingly had some solace with, he had to inevitably eat, and is residing within himself. But it would perpetuate the feeling of need, I think, emotional need that Zeke like feels like he needs to find a whole, like find somebody who understands him. He doesn't want to be alone anymore, and like, that person is Eren in a fucked up way.
You know the like excitement he gets here that we already talked about in the discussion with Eren's response? I doubt Zeke had such a visually emotional, excited reaction when Yelena was like, yeah, I'll go on board with your plan.
Yeah.
It's different. This is a person he wants to acknowledge him. This is a person that he wants to be on his team. This is a person that he wants to understand him. He's like, I want you to understand me in that, like, is he lonely? Is he searching for someone that he can fill a void with?
Yeah.
He lost both of his father figures, and he finds out through Reiner and Bertholdt that he has a brother.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that this has made his life, honestly. Finding someone to kind of, like, understand him and stand with him is probably everything that he ever wanted.
And somebody to, like, fulfill his dream with, you know? And, like,
he didn't want to be alone. Zeke didn't want to be alone.
Do you want to read through some of what Eren was saying to Zeke with me? Because I think it leads up to a really cool visual, but also I thought the dialogue was just really great. Do you want to read it?
Okay. So this is them talking at the wall. 4 years ago, some of Dad's memories opened up to me.
This is in Marley.
Mm-hmm. Memories of when he slaughtered the wall's royal family. He crushed their little kids and smeared them like bugs. I felt it too. If those kids lived, the royal family would retake the founding titan.
Both of them are covering their right eye. And Zeke, it's shown in a reflection of glasses. Eren has the bandage over him. I thought that was cool.
Interesting. Bound by the vow of renouncing war, humanity in the walls would be doomed. Those kids dying is what let us live. I see, so you believe that Father was right. He seems like, this didn't go the way I wanted. No, he was wrong.
He seems disappointed more than like, shit, I need to get this plan to work.
Yeah, he wasn't like trying to argue back with him. No, I need you to be on my side. It's a disappointment. I agree with you. And I, the son that he raised, was wrong too.
It's like 100%, this could just be Eren, but it's also like, all right, this is what I have to say. And Zeke's like, suddenly life has new meaning. It's like the best thing for Zeke to hear.
Is this the second time in Zeke's life that someone says something purposefully to him that he needs to hear or wants to hear in order to get Zeke to do something?
Regardless of
Could be a parallel.
What it is a true understanding that like in Zeke, like it's like exactly what his character would need. And I love that. I really like what they have done with Zeke's character, because it's not like just a sympathizing understanding, but it's like what they are going to choose to do with that, and it culminates in the end of the episode.
It's so hard to like think about Zeke and then realize that I'm completely forgetting the things he did as the Beast Titan
Yeah.
on the island. Like, I feel like during this conversation, I've just been thinking about him.
He killed Irwin.
In his human form, how he looks, and what's happening to him in his past. And I'm like, oh, yes, this poor guy, you know? And then I realized that I am completely forgetting the visuals of how he was in like Perfect Game or something, how he was smiling almost as he was chucking this, let's crush the rocks, and so there's so many tiny pieces and just, you know, so much damage, and there was like an excitement to doing this, like it really was a ball game.
Yeah.
And I think I forgot about that and those visuals in this episode.
Doesn't it? It's gonna make the rewatch so much more entertaining. Like to know, like when he first like talks about baseball. Remember when we like heard that? We were like, baseball exists somewhere in the world. So cool. So I don't think Levi's dead.
Do you think Zeke's dead? That was one of my questions. I wrote that. Is Zeke even alive?
That's why he did it.
I wrote
right?
that like during our. Because why else would you say, Mr. Cassava, I hope you're watching? That's kind of like I'm about to die in order to further a goal.
No, I think like I'm gonna do what it takes to get the goal done, and I think
it could also
yes,
it's a
true.
couple
You're
ways
right.
it
You're
could
right.
be seen.
But
it's a proclamation.
Yeah, I think that Zeke does this with the intention of surviving, because if he doesn't survive here, then the plan's gone to shit. Right?
And I don't think Levi necessarily wants him to not survive here either.
Unless that it's already happened, and it happened like off screen. That like some like timeline shit where maybe Zeke and Aaron did already hold hands and it happened already, and that like which I don't think is the case, but it's a possibility. God, it's so tragic.
Levi's not gonna be like unwounded from this.
No, he's gonna be hurt.
I know he's fast. But he was too close to this, and it happened too quickly. It honestly backfired on Levi a little bit to do this and like stick that thunder spear into Zeke, because why would you put a bomb basically on someone that you're gonna sit next to? Because
you think that this person values their life so much that they wouldn't.
You're really thinking that they value their life. I mean, do they? I mean, if you had the power to possibly regrow
or values the plan
or heal, if I knew that this person, I don't truly understand how Titans work. I don't know if I would be like, because think about how Reiner put his consciousness in like a total different part of his body. Like Zeke could have totally moved into his head, you know, the spear is here in his side.
Yeah.
And if you know that this person can regrow and heal themselves, plus has royal blood, so probably does it even faster, you know, they might risk it.
You see a frame of them being blown in separate directions.
Yeah. And it seems like it's just the upper half of Zeke.
Which would make sense. That would track.
Then there's something falling in the sky, which I think is Levi because it's darker.
Levi. On
like
Funimation, you
cloak.
can't go frame by frame, unfortunately. Or if you can, I don't know how, but that kind of sucks.
This
was the most upsetting part of the episode.
I think you audibly made a sound when you saw the horses on fire.
That's fucked up.
You were like, that is the most...
They spent the entire episode...
messed up thing that's happened.
They spent the entire episode trying to make me like Zeke and then ruined it in the final seconds. But I loved it. At the ending of the episode, there was just like a loud sound. Oh, there was like some gorgeous piano piece in that episode. The music was great. Like out of nowhere. The music was so good this episode. I had to say that. What do you think?
I don't know if I have other thoughts in my head.
I think there's
my
a
head's
mid-roll.
empty.
We can try to find that.
Is there a mid-roll?
Yeah, there's always a mid-roll, right? We just don't remember it all the time.
Oh, there it is. I see it in like the tiny pictures.
Yeah, but it's...
We just have to actually get to it.
Yeah, you know, it's weird like that.
It is weird like that.
You gotta like play guessing. Okay.
Oh, here, okay. Titan research encompasses not only the biology of Titans themselves, but also the ideologies of Eldians who possess the power and how to deal with them.
Interesting.
Mr. Cassava is definitely
Whoa, what do we got here?
Private. What do you mean, what have we got here?
We got some terms.
We have terms, but we can't read them.
Yeah, we can.
We can?
Yeah, we can. Let's turn subtitles off, because that's the only way we can... no, that didn't help.
That's another language.
No. Right here. Innocent Titans. Do you see that?
Oh.
It's the only one in English.
The pure Titans, and they're calling them innocent Titans on this translation on the mid-roll.
Huh.
Well, I mean, they are innocent. They're people that are turned into that, and they don't have any control over this bloodlust, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, that's all I have.
I think that's all I have, too.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time. And I want to reiterate that,
And I want to reiterate that